Good afternoon. You're listening to My Conscious Dad on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. I'm your host, Jasmine Urbina, here in the studio with my dad, Alex Urbina, and our very special guest, Riel Andrews. Hi, Riel. How are you today?
Great. How are you doing?
In case you don't know who Riel is, let me just tee him up real quick. Riel is my fitness coach. I believe he's one of the best coaches, trainers, physical trainers when it comes to helping you get to the next level, taking your physical wellness to a whole nother level. Probably one of the best in all Southern California, and I'm not saying that lightly. I think that you're one of the best, around, and I'm glad to have you in my backyard. And I'm glad that you're helping me take my fitness to the next level. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you too, because it's a team effort, and you're fixing my mental side, which is what we're going to learn about today. I'm not sure why I'm here, but I'm sure it's going to be a great show because you've been amazing. Not just for me, but for my family. What's happening inside of my four walls is mind-boggling. And I think it's a great credit to you, Alex. I just got back from a 10-day cruise with a bunch of champions in my company, but also people that some of them know me for 8 years, and there was a common denominator going around on that cruise. It's like, I don't know who this guy is in front of me, but I like him. Whatever you're doing's working, Rail, so that was cool.
Yeah, I think there's a light that's shining about you and from within you that you probably didn't have before. And it wasn't, a discredit of you not finding the trigger or pulling it. Some of us don't know that where the switch is. Some of us don't know that the switch is there and that we have access to that switch. And so once it started to open up possibilities for you, you responded like a champion. And to be honest with you, in my circle of clients, you are really the epitome of being a great student, and you're really implementing the coaching, and you're practicing and putting things into play, and you're getting the benefits out of it. And I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry we left you out of the conversation.
No, that's okay. But today we're going to be talking about conscious parenting, which is really good feedback. I think you guys are both going to receive from me. I know you're not my dad, Riel, but I did get a chance to meet your son, Nathan, who is a great spirit and I think is a good reflection on your parenting. He is very enthusiastic and exciting, and he has that energy where people just are like, what's going on with this kid? I don't know, but I want to find out. And I think he's a really great kid.
And real funny and just, great to be around. He lit up in our house and he brought a lot of joy. And I know I was sharing a little bit with you earlier today, and you looked a little surprised, and I don't know why.
Well, I was, and it's kind of like, as I hear that, it's double sword for me. I'm very, very excited, but I'm a little sad too, because, and maybe it's a good thing to start, because I see that and I believe that in my son Nathan. I mean, I think he's my mini-me, the biggest mini-me of the family, and so I'm constantly, always telling him how great he is and all this. Like even last night, he was getting ready for his formal, and he looked amazing. I want to take a picture, and he wouldn't smile, and he said, I don't smile and everything. So when you say that, I guess my question to both of you is, why doesn't he shine like that in my house?
When you get into becoming the conscious dad or the conscious parent, and you get to certain levels, what you'll notice is that our kids are already authentically, magically magnificent and powerful and loving and vulnerable. Already, it's in their DNA. And I think that we as the parents need to get out of their way. And sometimes I think we're in their way. And when you have that realization, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And it's probably going to hit you to where you get emotional. That we as parents, I think, are in the way of our kids shining. And I think that once you start to realize that, and you and your wife get it to a whole nother level, you'll start to back off and create the space, the environment for him to shine. There's this amazing book I read when I was a kid, or not a kid, but in my young 20s, and it was about a son having the baby son, and the little baby son didn't know how powerful its light was, because it was always around the big son, the father son, or the parent son. And your kids don't know how amazing they are until they're out of your own son. They need for you to make some distance. They need you to go over to the corner so they can look and notice, wow, I have my own light. And once that clicks for you and you realize you need to give your kids some space so that they can shine and see their own shining, is, I think, the moment that you'll really realize what they need most from you.
That's good. That's really good. As you're talking, Alex, something just hit me. I think I just had a breakthrough on a level, because you're always talking about light, letting the light shines. We have these different light shines. And in my world, there's and I don't want to mess it up, but maybe because you actually seem to be good at this stuff. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about your lighting the path so you can see the direction or where you're going or something like that. And what just hit me, I just saw that for a whole another vision, because so many people are walking around and they can't see the destiny, they can't see the greatness, they can't see what they were called to, because they're not having the blessing to work with somebody like you who can help them to let their light shine. Because when their light shines, it's going to illuminate the path to their greatness. Does that kind of make a little sense?
Absolutely. But the trick is when you see your own light, you have that awakening. But if you're around other bigger lights around you, like a powerful dad and a strong mom, and you're very boisterous and have these opinions, and you're always telling your kids how amazing they are and what they should be doing, your light is shining way brighter than theirs. And sometimes they need for you just to give them the space for them to look at themselves and go, oh my God. You ever heard the song, This Little Light of Mine?
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, I guess it's about that.
It's discovering that I am a light. I have my own light. And I think what was amazing was when your son came into our home for that brief moment, he had permission to shine his own light. And when he did, we just enjoyed it. Like I said, it was so amazing. It was an amazing experience to watch him shine. I saw the little 4-year-old kid in him, and that's what's authentic and powerful about that kid. And it was pretty incredible.
That's awesome, and it's like when you say letting the light shine, one thing I noticed, because we'd been working on this, what you just said, and it goes in line with me. It's one thing, it's actually not great for me to say, you're great, you're awesome, you're a champion, you're a star, you're amazing, all this stuff that I say, but you said, ask them, why are they great? And before they went and did that training with you, the leadership training, I would ask them every day, because I'm being a good student, and they didn't have answers for me, and I would be like, I'll think about it today and tell me one thing why you're great, why you're, and they didn't really have it. And then I remember the first day I spoke to Marcus after he graduated, and Nathan, I was on the ship, and I said, so tell me one thing that you're great about. And he said, the ability that I'm able to be kind. They had answers like that. Nice. So I don't know what you did, but it was great.
All I did was created a safe, loving environment for them to see their own light. The same thing. There's no different. I created a safe and loving environment, and I reminded them of who they are for a brief moment, and then I just stepped out of the way and gave them opportunities to shine that light. And kids respond. When you give them that opportunity, they will respond. And so when we're talking about the conscious dad, what I'd love for you, Jasmine, to give is, from your perspective, what does a conscious dad mean to you? Because we can sit here all day long and talk about, what I'd love to talk about is, what is a conscious dad or a conscious parent, and what is an unconscious dad or an unconscious parent? And then I want to hear from the perspective of the teenager growing up, or as a child, what does it look like for you?
I actually would love to give an example that I noticed with your son Nathan. He, like I said, he had that energy and that excitement that we were all about. We loved it. And I think if you were an unconscious dad, it would be very easy for you to shut that down for him. Where I think he's in junior high now. He's 12.
He's 12.
Okay, so he's like going to that age where all those things, like there's going to be a lot of awkward things. He doesn't want to express himself because he doesn't want to be bullied or judged at school. And it would be very easy, and I think a lot of unconscious parents put their kids down and don't let them express that. And that's what I loved about Nathan. I was like, wow, this kid's actually really animated for someone his age. And I thought that was so exciting. But conscious parents, they support that, and they say, if he wants to go do some new sport or new activity, you say yes, go ahead and go do it, and you go support them. And I think for me, when I think of a conscious parent, the one word that really would help me is just support.
And I would probably piggyback and say acceptance, like accepting all of your quirkiness, accepting all of your own fears, accepting the things that you do that makes you special. I think unconscious parenting is trying to correct your kid to look the way you want them to look,
exactly,
rather than realizing there's something special about you, and if it's that you like to crack jokes or you say awkward things in awkward times, and that's who you are. I get to love that about you. I get to learn how to love certain things about you, rather than saying, stop doing this, stop doing that, stop eating with your mouth open, stop. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't make some course corrections because we want our kids to develop healthy, but there's a way about doing it. Rather than saying stop doing this, it's maybe opening up a discussion and asking some powerful questions so that they can come to the conclusion of what kind of course correction they need to make for themselves.
Yeah, you always tell that story about the little boy who runs, gets an A+ in school and runs to his dad's office to, because he's so excited. He wants his dad to know that he got an A, and the dad is really busy with work and overwhelmed. So he says, "No, son, not right now." And all of a sudden the son now creates all these self-limiting beliefs and so on. And that's kind of the same thing. If your son comes to you, cracks a joke, and maybe it's not an appropriate time, sometimes parents will shut them down, and it's not in the most healthy way.
I think, as I'm hearing both of you talk, getting, what's the word I meant to say the other day, like, the word I'm looking for is, I always want to go to church, or I want to go to a session with you and feel like I got hit a couple rounds, because then I know, that it's worth my time. So I'm getting hit a lot right now, getting punched a lot right now. But what I'm hearing you say...
But it's a good punch.
Good punch, yeah.
Some of the biggest breakthroughs that came from me is when I was a little bit disturbed.
It's a great
punch. When I heard certain things, it was like, I cringe, or I shrink really small, because I know either in my own home I need to make those kinds of course corrections, right?
Yeah, I see it not as a good punch. I see it as a great punch, a phenomenal punch. If you're open to it, if you're open to receive it.
Absolutely.
If you're not, you're going to miss it.
There's a lot of people that aren't open. They don't want to hear this. There's a lot of people that have changed the channel already because it makes them too uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But being uncomfortable, which is outside your comfort zone, is where growth happens. Mm-hmm. You can't want to grow and be a better father or be a better parent and expect it for it to just be easy. Don't expect to just read a book and all of a sudden magically you're a great parent. It takes a rigorous commitment to being outside of your comfort zone and taking some of those jabs.
Well, and what I can say, when I hear you say that, and I'm maybe a little biased, but I don't think I'm biased because I'm living it and I'm living proof, and I'm 52 years old. I've read a lot of those books. I've listened. I don't read. Let me correct that. But it's the same thing, audio books, because I've been struggling for a long time, trying to be a better dad. And I'll tell you what, they don't, in my opinion right now, they don't need to be listening to those books. They need to get a coach like you, because I've spent many, many years and not get any results in a very short time. I'm getting amazing results with, and things like, as I'm hearing both you and Jasmine talking, I'm seeing how many times a day, multiple times a day, I'm squashing my kids because they're not fitting into Rael's box. They're not fitting into my wife's box. And it's like, I don't have time for that. Why are you being so annoying? Or why are you, that's immature? Or that's, I can see all these little things, but as I'm hearing you, that's them expressing, and I can see how that can be powerful or unpowerful.
And what if you tried, son, a little chuckle, son, I love that about you. That makes you special. That it's kind of like validating that who they're being in that moment, even if it's quirky or weird or awkward, or those little things. If you allow them to be like that, maybe it runs its course. But I think as parents, especially unconscious parents, we operate out of fear. Like if I don't course correct that or tell him that's wrong, I'm afraid that he's going to think that that's okay. Instead of trusting that, no, I've instilled some great morals and values in this kid. it's just, kind of a phase he's going through. He's only 12. He'll outgrow that silliness, or he'll outgrow that whatever. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. So it's really looking and it validating. I love that about you, that you're self-expressive. And then, maybe at a later time when we're sitting down, he's coming to you and asking certain questions. You gotta wait for him to come to you and go, "Hey, Dad, so what do you think?" That's your moment that you all of a sudden now go, "All right, hold on, let me go back to my, files and start pulling out all the good, powerful feedback that's empowering to him, not the feedback that's going to be like perceived as jabs or taking shots at him."
Well, and as you're talking right now, I just had another breakthrough, because at the start of the show, I said to you, why doesn't his light shine like that at my house? I know the reason his light doesn't shine at my house is because we've squashed him. And he's, and I can see that in all of my kids now, because we've been operating out of fear of, I can see and replay really quickly all kind of stuff in my head right now, times when we were like, "Dude, what do you do? Stop that." So no wonder they don't shine in my house, because they don't want to do anything anymore, because all they get is no, stop. You
ready for a bigger breakthrough?
Yes.
Here's another possibility. His light is shining at your house. You just can't see it.
Ooh, did it get quiet in here?
Another thing too is, if what you said is the case, it's not too late. Obviously, Nathan does have that light. We've seen it, and it's not too late to, accept him and make him feel comfortable at home and accepted at home. That everything that we were explaining about him, all his light that's in his heart, it's not gone. It's still there, and it's not too late.
And he will always be that. And his spirit wants to be what it authentically is. And this is the tough part, the very challenging part as a parent, is realizing, man, maybe I'm getting in the way of my own kids, flourishing. And I think that's the biggest breakthrough that a conscious parent could have. And that's the pivotal moment where you flip the switch and go, I got it, I get it, and I can't wait to now start implementing that. I think that's the biggest breakthrough that you can really look at yourself. Before we go on a break, as we're getting to that time, I want to break down a few distinctions about what a conscious parent looks like. For me, and I did this 3 minutes before we went on air. I just typed down a few things. Off the top of my head, conscious parents don't react. They're proactive. So they've worked on themselves to a certain level where they don't get tagged very easy. Tagged meaning they say something and all of a sudden it triggers some anger, or it triggers some kind of emotion in you that's negative. We don't react. As a conscious parent, we allow people to have their opinions. We hear things as neutral, or we see things that people are doing as neutral, or that's just the way they are, or that's what that's how they choose to be. We find different ways to perceive other people's actions. There's no reaction from our part as a parent. As parents, we're proactive. We're looking always from, all right, how do we correct this? Isn't it great to have a leader that when you go to them with a problem, they're like, all right, I don't care about that anymore. Because all you want to do is tell your negative story, right, when you have an issue. But isn't it cool to have a leader that goes, all right, that doesn't help us. Let's figure a solution. Let's figure out how to mend this. Let's figure out how to move forward. So, conscious parents are proactive. They're always looking for solutions, especially when it comes to their family. All right, great. I see that's what you did. I see that's what the issue is. Now let's sit down as a family and sit down and figure out, how do we course correct this? How do we clean this up? Do I need to apologize to you? Do I need to express to you what I was thinking when I did this, or when I hurt your feelings? So we're always moving forward. Let's figure out how to find a solution on this. The other things is that conscious parents don't take things personal. A lot of times, I think unconscious parents look at some of their kids and the way that they're acting, or the way they're navigating their life. They take that as a dig to me. Like, wow, like how disrespectful to me, or, how could you do this to me? They look at that their kids are doing things almost to them, rather than they're just doing it because it's what they're choosing.
I actually really like this one, because there's a lot of times where I'm just being me and I'm going through some kind of thing in my life, and I might push my parents away, and really that's not what I mean. It's just what's going on with me right now. And I think a conscious parent understands that not everything's about them, that their kid is going through their own thing right now, especially teenagers.
And as a parent, if we haven't, worked on ourselves and got rid of some of our own insecurities, it's very easy to perceive and see it as taking it personal. I can see it as, wow, how could you do this to me? And some of the kids, especially in today's world, the millennials are like, they're probably in the room frustrated going, this has got nothing to do with you. This is my stuff. They're like really fired up because, the unconscious parent hears it as, this is what you're doing to me and taking it personal.
Sounds great. We'll get back to it more after the break. Stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.